Hello, friends. Who fancies a lark at spring healing from the clink, then, eh? Huh, fine. Who's down for a good old-fashioned jailbreak, then? I know I am, and the Ragtags definitely are too. So, are you ready to hear the rest of the tale? Then let us commence. If you'll recall, we left the Ragtags hiding below an outcrop in the strange caverns they discovered beneath the White Arbor. You know, the ones that are infested with some shade-soaked spider-fey cult or some such that had Minko's friends from the Resistance all webbed up in creepy cocoons. Everyone had decided that the best course of action was to bust the freedom fighters out of the prison, thus securing more bodies for an assault on the cult's main temple, because nothing says successful raid like an impromptu army of freed prisoners. Just then, as everyone was preparing for the assault, Minko brought something to Brace's attention, augmenting the Dragonborn's perception with his own, and he was able to see a frantically waving red-haired gnome-like fey, or fey-like gnome. It was Banderman, of course. No one could see him except Minko and now Brace, and that meant he hadn't been captured in Whale by the arachno-fey cult, but had followed his captured friends to this terrifying place. Oof. Well, that is indeed quite sad for the poor blighter, innit? It's bad enough Bander's got to walk about in the ether all invisible and such, but to have to be stuck down in that place. Yeesh! After happily running over to the Ragtags, the little freedom fighter relayed through Minko that Antiope the Centaur, the Bugbear Boors, and of course, Monkey Paul, were webbed up in the prison, but the seer Vilena was being held separate in the temple for some reason. Bandermun told them that the leaders of this cult were preparing her for some kind of ceremony or ritual. Based on the Ragtags' history with stopping dark blood rituals and whatnot, I'm not liking where this is going. Minko, realizing that the stakes were escalating, took matters into his own, immaterial hands, and then, well, disentangled himself from Brace. This was something new, I guess. Perhaps a side-effect evolution from what Auntie Olia taught him. The resolute monk could now, in a limited capacity, separate from the Dragonborn sorcerer to be in the world and affect it. Sort of similar to Regal's echoes. Anyway, that's a lot of boring mechanical stuff that doesn't need to be discussed in a story, you know? The top line is, Minko can join in on fights and mayhem and stuff. Yay! Okay, back to everyone needing to focus on the jailbreak. Making matters worse, this ritual was for some entity known as the Queen Below, so yes, that sounds ominous, and not like someone you want to deal with if you can find a way to give it all the laugh, right? Oh, right. And the ghostly little geezer also mentioned that there was a large pit a slight ways off that had a huge spider in it, that had blades on its legs that other spiders rode on top of, and that seemed like something the baddies would whip out if it all went sideways to Celestia. Still, getting all in a twist about this dose of high-level arcane mumbo and giant war spiders seemed a little premature, yeah? Probably best to just take a crack at the prison break and see how that goes before taking on anything with more of a lift required. So that's just what they did. And well, you know, it actually went off without a bobble. I mean, there was a bit of stumbling, a lot of shouting, but who needs finesse when you've got enthusiasm? Employing some skullduggery and disguise, and then a heaping flagon of harsh barley-flavoured what for, the heroes dispatched the Kytines and Choldrith in the squat little prison. And with little effort, the Ragtags had taken the prison, eliminating all the creepies inside, and freeing the 3 freedom fighters there. Then they locked themselves in and took a short rest to get everyone right and ready, while also figuring out what to do next. While a little worse for wear, Antiope, Burrs and Monkey Paul were more than ready to help take on all the spider-fey in the place to help the Ragtags rescue Vilena. And so, with their newly expanded troop of motleys, the Ragtags decided to charge right over to the foreboding stone temple and mix up a chuzzle. Because when in doubt, why not storm a potentially deadly place en masse? Quietly heading out, the 12-spot managed to soft shoe and sneak up to the temple without alerting the big fighters or any of the other patrols wandering about. The temple was quite old, ancient even, although it had that strange timelessness and out-of-time feel that most of Merkur Hain seemed to have, like it was simultaneously built yesterday, yet also in the mists of the shrouded past. It was also quite obvious that whoever this cult of spider-like Fey were, they weren't the original inhabitants. Drogon peered inside the entrance to the place. There was a large chamber that had a raised dais and altars, but there didn't seem to be anyone around. The half-elf heard voices off in the distance, but they didn't seem to be coming any closer for the moment. Drogon also heard female whimpering coming from closer, in a nearby side chamber. Though it wasn't in distress, it just seemed erratic and confused almost. As everyone began to slowly get inside the entrance chamber, Unia, Minko and Varys could see that the strands of strange ethereal light that had led them down into these caverns were flowing toward a large entrance at the other side of the grand chamber, with the altars and whatnot in it. It was tempting, well for Varys anyway, but everyone wanted to check out the side chamber whimpering, and so they did. Inside, they found Vilenna. The strange seer had been webbed to a stone altar, and the poor lass was hallucinating and rambling. She kept saying, "It is here. It is here." But so is she. Very helpful, that. They freed the Fey seer and made sure she was uninjured, which happily she was. As others kept a lookout, Varys administered a special salve, handy for all your toxin-induced hallucination needs. And within a few seconds, Vilenna snapped out of her delirium saying, "The Glimmer is here, but she has it." "Who has it?" our heroes asked. "The Recluse," she said. "Well, shit,"